Media News for Oasis, connecting you to the world.
Markets all the way to malls. It's all about providing traders and customers safe spaces, affordable spaces, modern spaces where they can trade goods and services.
I know that usually, of course, you have goals and targets. Is this limited to specific areas at the first instance or the entire country, state, as it were?
Well, of course, you are aware of the Kaduna Urban Renewal Program, which seeks to look at our urban areas and renew them and make them look fit for the times that we're in now. Cities have to be livable. You know, this concept of livable cities, and this is what Governor Nasser Rufai is doing. So we, coming from the commercial aspect, if you look at even land, the three basic classification of land when you have it is residential, commercial, or other mixed use. So commercial activities are very important. They drive the economy, and particularly in urban areas, this is what you have driving the economy, and there is need to provide recognized spaces, not just anywhere. We want to ensure that anybody who wants to trade has a place that is fit for that purpose.
You know, for some, what their model will be the market management, manage infrastructure, I beg your pardon, the company can manage infrastructure and then leave the market to some other agency. But market management and infrastructure, I think you're combining both.
Yeah, we're building, but of course, when it comes to the management, we outsource these services. We are a company, even though we're a government-owned company, we are not a government agency. We are a company, so we have to make profit. So, of course, we ensure that we provide them with any of the hubs that we, commercial hub that we build, whether it is a mall or the smallest, like I said, open stores, they must have services, and they pay for these services through what is called the service charge. And we provide sanitation, security, and other services that is required to run those spaces. From that kind of revenue that we get, we are able to now get people from the private sector because we don't have the capacity. And even if we did, we'd be wasting our time. No company would want to be engaged in, being the cleaners of all these things. It's like British Airways. They don't necessarily have to cook their meals or be the ones cleaning. They can outsource those services. So this is precisely what we do.
So I'm wondering what the transition was like, because essentially we know what our markets are, in general, regardless of where you go in the country, and now trying to transition to the more organized, service-oriented, proper markets, whether be they open stores or be they, closed malls. What was the transition like for the state and for the people of the state?
Well, it was quite challenging at the beginning when we embarked on this program, but the governor was very clear this is what he wanted us to do. Had a mandate 2 years ago in 2019, and we set about doing this. Of course, we had to do several stages of stakeholder engagement, but even with that, of course, people are not used to just this kind of drastic change, and we're so set in our ways, particularly maybe here in Kaduna, and we found it very, very inconveniencing. But of course, for every market that we've had to remove, what they don't tell you is that we have provided alternative places for them where we've built up temporary stores for everyone that was in that market before to go in there and continue trading up until the time we conclude the construction of whatever market we're doing. Because most of these markets are neighborhood markets, some are district markets. So if you take out the markets, it's not even the traders that you are after, it's about the whole community. You cannot deprive any community of that right to go to any market and buy what they want to buy, or that convenience of having a place where they can exchange value for goods.
I'm going to ask you, when you were given the task, did you laugh? What was your initial reaction? Did you see yourself as going to be a bad guy?
Well, I knew I had to be a bad guy, and I'm ready to do that. You see, when you're in public service, you don't worry about perception that much because you are there to make policies that will affect the lives of millions of people. People say, oh, think God knows what we're doing is good. And whatever we're doing, we put it through a very robust debate at council. We just don't arrive at these decisions when we wake up in the morning. We debate it and weigh the merits and demerits. But you see, a society must move forward. We cannot remain stagnant. We have to.
How are they, because I mean, change is not easy to accept for a lot of people. How is that coming on, this new strategy you're implementing?
Well, in the first year, it was very difficult. Like Malpe said, it was very, very difficult having to deal with them. I was probably public enemy number one in Kaduna. But over time, sometimes I receive letters in my office, commendation letters, because they're beginning to see the structures coming. It's all about how people value themselves, because they've been told that they are supposed to remain in this rundown shack, all these muddy areas. You do not deserve to run your business in conducive environment, and we don't believe that is fair.
Well, oftentimes, sorry, Karen, the fear oftentimes is that when these modern markets are built, the traders who used to be there are kicked out, and oftentimes they cannot afford the new market. How are you able to, bridge that and also ensure that you assure old timers that don't worry, this is still your market. When you come back, you will still be able to afford the services in this market?
Well, when we started, this was the governor's first directive to ensure that we make sure the people that are coming back to these markets are the same people that were there before. Let me give you an example. What we do typically is if we remove a market that has 2,100 occupants, we ensure that we build at least 3,500, so that we bring back the 2,100 and even bring new people in. With markets, as we know them, if you take out the original people, it never really goes well. We've seen cases before we got here. But we have cases like in Savangari, where we removed the market and we've built the first phase of about 1,211 shops. All the people that are there are the same people that were there before. Of course, there were those sustained. Now we've had first phases of most markets completed. We've seen that really the people going back in, and there's this sense of belief and saying, okay, this is really for real. We've never had it good this way. And we believe that what the governor said initially is what is happening. But beyond that also, I want to just quickly say that what we try to do is we register them. Like you have market unions, because what we do is we collect lists from the local government and the market unions, say, give us the list of those who were in this market before we took it out, or we're about to take this market out. Can we have the list of people? Sometimes you have inflated lists. Some people will bring 3,600, but because we subject them to verification, biometric verification, we find out that they're normally typically 60 to 70% of the population of the people on the list. Yes, but we don't mind.
Why are they inflating the list?
Because they just want to, if your name is Musa Ibrahim, they now write it Ibrahim Musa. And they will put Ibrahim.m or m.ibrahim or Musa.i. So we have a way of verifying these things. And what we're doing is beyond just building markets. We're building the traders themselves. We're doing tax clearance certificates for them. We're registering them under the RRA, Kaduna Emergency Registration Agency, which offers them some social services for free. Very soon we have to show those cards to be able to access those social services. We are registering business names for them, because they don't have to have just a business name is okay for them, at least maybe something ventures. We're doing all these things. We're formalizing them in the process. And let me tell you why this became necessary. We had COVID last year, and the federal government, of course, put out so many different kind of funds for people to access. But you would realize that a lot of our traders, when we tried to get them to access, because we set up centers, we tried to support them to recover, because COVID really hit our traders here, particularly in Kaduna and maybe northern Nigeria. So we realized that they didn't have all these documents to even commence the application. And I'm talking of 10 million naira, 20 million naira, money that will change their businesses, money that will see them employ more people, money that will see the volume of trade increase significantly. But we are losing that because we did not formalize our traders. So we've gone through that process. Today in Kaduna, you cannot own a shop until you have ticked all these boxes, and we do them all for free.
I hope those monies have been dispersed now.
Well, I said the federal government was not KDSG, so I wouldn't know. But some of them that applied, that had all those things, they've gotten their money.
Yeah, that takes me to this next question. So there's the conversation about making the market better, ensuring
quality of service and the rest. But for the government as well, there's a talk about generating revenue. And I'd like to know just how profitable has this been for government, because that's a very important conversation as well.
Well, people are especially asking that because you see most of these markets that we actually build, well, we don't really invest government money in it. The customer getting case is a different case. That's government money purely going in. But most of these markets, particularly in the urban areas, are done through public-private partnership. The land is vested in our company's name at the government, and then we value the land, and that is our own equity. And then we invite private sector developers who come in and put their money to erect the structures, and then we have a sharing agreement. But for us, we're not so much worried about what we make, but providing the spaces for people. But just to answer your question, market development is very, very profitable. You know, we have seen in the state development plan, which will be launched today, the target for Kaduna Market Development and Management Company was 11 billion naira in private sector investments. We've tripled that in 2 years. Commercial ones, all on the.
What is different about the customer market? Because you understand the people were mentioning that as well.
Yes, the customer market case is different because, as you know, that was the first place where ethnic religious crisis started in Kaduna. People don't know that it's actually at that market. And in 2018, and we've had several cases after that recurring, where, yes, in Kaduna. That was the first place where the first religious crisis started in Kaduna in the early 80s, 1981 or thereabouts. And we realized that we've had so many of these crises around that area, surrounding the market, burning of market. The first thing they do is to go and burn the market. The last one was in October 2018, and the governor said, look, we demolish this market completely and build a brand new market, build as many shops as possible, so we can allow anybody and everyone that wants to own a shop there to own a shop. We're also, the way we allocate the shop, we're doing it in such a way that ensures integration of different tribes. A particular tribe next to a particular tribe. So if you burn the market, you're also burning your own shop. So because the issue surrounds, the issue there is usually about exclusion. So people say they are economically excluded in Kaduna because they are not part of the market, or they don't have a stall in the market. So now we build something that is modern, that is big enough to take anybody and anyone who wants a market there. So this is why the state government decided to invest directly in Asoma Gini market. It is not so much about the money coming out of that market, but everything about ensuring peaceful coexistence.
Looking at that market, there will be a slaughterhouse, a lot of things around meat and all that. And I understand that there's talks also about the Danao Ranch project. You represent the state on that one. What are the prospects?
Well, we want all of them to read that. Just like I said in the building markets and making traders aware that they need conducive spaces, it will drive more people to come into the market and purchase them. In the same way that we believe that if we are able to sedentarize these farmers in a location where the byproducts of cattle are being utilized, so it's just not beef. We're talking of cheese, we're talking of milk primarily. We want to cut down on our importation of milk, yet we have so many cows roaming around. And when cows go up and down, they tend to lose that ability to produce milk. So if you put them in a location, you plant the necessary grass that they need or the food that they require. You ensure that the people, herders that are taking care of them, have clinics and schools so that their children can go there. It is an entire community of about 8,000 hectares in Jamo in Kubo local government, where we plan to sedentarize at least 1,000 cattle farmers. We will get them, the state will get them the cattle, the Frisian cows. We will have some sort of breeding with the local cows that they currently own, and then see how much milk they can produce. The goal is to increase the yield of milk production. And we're partnering with Allah, dairy giant, one of the top 3 dairy giants in the world. They will set up their own center of excellence, about 200 hectares within that farm, to actually collect the milk. They will tell them how to look after their cows so that they can produce the milk. They will collect the milk. They will have a milking parlor, process the milk further, and then take it out of the farm and do a processing plant where they can package and sell all over, not only Nigeria, but West Africa.
So this is partly finding an economic solution to conflicts that we have seen.
Precisely. I don't see any reason why at this day and age we still have people going up and down. I believe that government at all levels must come together to find a permanent solution to this. And in Kaduna, the governor is leading the way. He has made this very clear, and we are working day and night to ensure that this becomes a reality. We have invested a lot of money, and we are going to invest even more through the CBN Commercial Agriculture Credit Scheme Program to sedentarize these farmers, collect the milk, cheese. At the end of the life cycle, even the beef is not lost. We can still use it and sell it, and they can make money. This money goes to the farmers directly, so they are being empowered. Their kids get to go to school. They have access to clinics. They have markets. They have a community that caters to their needs. Well, they make money from their country.
All right, then Hafiz Bayo, Managing Director of Kaduna Market Development and Management Company. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
All right, then. Well, yeah, we still have some more ground to cover, so don't go away.